Maybe because my voice, I'm not throwing it too loud today because I just woke
Hello?
up this morning.
I can hear you, Bob. Hello.
We hear you.
We hear you, Dad. I'm not sure he's got his ears in yet. He'll figure it out. All right. I'm going to get Bob pinned in the right spot. I'll pin myself in there since Adriana won't be here.
Hello, Lee. I can't hear
I hear
you.
you. I hear you. I hear you, Dad. I hear you. All right. One moment.
How about this, Dad? Hey, Papa.
I can hear you on the
Yep,
Zoom, but
you're in
not.
Zoom, so
I can hear.
I
Okay.
can hear you in Zoom.
All right. So we'll leave it that way. What? Oh, but
It
oh,
won't
you're
do
the
any
only
good
one
if you
that can
can't
hear
hear
me.
Can't
us.
hear us.
Okay.
So you can, if you want to, you can
want
drop
to,
out
you
of
can
Zoom
drop out of Zoom
altogether.
altogether
If you need to,
if you need to.
is that on your laptop?
Is that on your laptop?
No, on my phone.
Okay, I muted you in Clubhouse. On your phone, look at Clubhouse. You're in Clubhouse, okay? Somewhere, somehow, you're in Clubhouse. So forget Zoom for a minute and just focus on Clubhouse. I'm going to leave my audio in Zoom, come back over here, start the room.
Is that Michael, your uncle, Lee? Or
Nope,
oh,
that's a different Michael.
oh, okay. I don't have my glasses on either, by the way.
This
So
is the Michael that posts the really cool pictures in our Facebook group.
oh, okay. I haven't been on Facebook group, I don't think.
All right. Well, I've got my stuff ready, so why don't we get started? Today's workbook lesson 87. This is part of God's will for me, however I may see it. A good thing to keep in mind. And I know we're all over the place, but if anybody can't hear me, let me know. We'll just do the best we can with everything else we got.
I can hear you.
Great. One's enough for me. I'll take it and run with it. Today, lesson 87 is a summary lesson of lessons 73 and 74. And today's lesson will review and cover these two ideas. I will there be light.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, can still hear you, Papa.
Yes. Can
Sounding
you hear me
good,
now?
Dad. Yep, we can still hear you, Dad.
No.
Can you hear us? Turn your volume up if you need to. Sounds like you can't hear us.
Why can't I hear?
All right. Sorry, guys. Let me troubleshoot my
Just
father
poor
here.
connection.
Right with you. All right. I'm not going to bother troubleshooting my dad. I'm just going to mute him. Today's lesson reviews I Will There Be Light, lesson 73, and lesson 74, There Is No Will But God's. So review lesson 73, I Will There Be Light. I will use the power of my true will today. It is not my true will to grope about in the darkness, fearful of shadows and afraid of things unseen and unreal. Light shall be my God today. I will follow the light of my true will where it leads me, and I will look only on what the light of my true will shows me. This day I will experience the peace of true perception. These forms of the idea that I will there be light would be helpful for specific applications. This cannot hide the light I will to see. You stand with me in light, Billy Blank, whomever's in front of you that you need to apply this to. The light in this will look different. That is the review of 73. The review of lesson 74 is, there is no will but God's. I am safe today because there is no will but God's will. I can become afraid only when I believe there is another will. I try to attack only when I'm afraid and think there's another will besides God's will. And only when I try to attack can I believe that my eternal safety is threatened. Today I will recognize that all my imagined threats to my safety have not occurred. I'm safe because there is no will but God's. These are some useful forms of this idea that there is no will but God's will for your specific applications. Let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God. It is God's will. You are His child. Whomever this person in front of you might be bothering you, if they're bothering you, this is where you put their name in. So it's God's will, and you are His child, Billy Blank, and it is my will as well. This is part of God's will for me, however I may see it. And that is the whole lesson.
Whoa. I'll say whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I put that name in that blank, I was like, really? And I believe it is. It definitely believed that it was God's will. And though it sounds like, would God will something bad or good? There you go again. I'm judging it. I'm judging it bad or good. So it has nothing to do with it. It just is God's will. And my choice was not to, I had no choice in that. This keeps going back to choice for me. I'm really, really, really exploring that idea of choice. And like Tom said yesterday as well, we've really been exploring that. There's only two choices. One is the ego's, uh, wait, I should probably tell you what it was. It was, one is to choose again, which would be something that we would be led to do by God if we didn't like the outcome, right? If something about the outcome didn't work. And then the other one would be, so we'd have to choose again. I don't know how, I'm taking that on a really deep level, choose again, meaning, I don't know if anybody's going to follow me.
Yeah, it was choose again or argue for your rightness, your egoic rightness.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, look at it a different way. Uh, Rather than get involved with the blame, shame, and guilt game and argue that you're right and that these people are, there's someone else or you to blame or God for the outcome, that you just realize that it's a perfect learning experience and that you're looking at it without realizing the big picture, as it said in these last two lessons, that actually uh, everything is unfolding perfectly for our greater evolution, for our uh, learning lessons that we need to get to the next level or to see things differently and to uh, unfold or remove some of the blocks that we've placed in front of love's existence, love's presence. So that's the choice: either argue for your ego's rightness, otherwise, why you're justified and continue to hold your grievances, or take some responsibility, look at it and say, this was trying to teach me something. what is it, and proceed to try a different path, or at least look at it and interpret it differently, because it's your interpretation that's giving you the problem. We don't understand the big picture, and it's like so many things in your life. You have some thing that happens, and it's not until later on that you understand that that was exactly what you needed at that time to get you to the next level. Thank you.
It seems impossible to know God's will sometime. Last night I was trying to give my son a bath, shower, get him to get clean. Asked him all weekend, "Hey Dean, why don't you go take a shower, get it out of the way?" Friday, Saturday, "Hey Dean, let's take a shower, get it out of the way." Saturday afternoon, "Come on buddy, let's do this." Sunday morning, "Come on man, let's do this, get it out of the way." All the way up until last night, 8 o'clock, finally, he gets in the shower, has a meltdown, screams to go home to be with his mom. So his mom came and picked up the kids. And they're going to school from her house this morning. So frustrating. So frustrating.
Wow.
But it's definitely going to work out for the best. I know that in the long run. I hate being in the role of the dad who has to force his kid to take a shower, and he's mean because he does it.
It's funny that Debbie's here. She could probably share something with you back channel or wherever. It's called Love and Logics, and Debbie has a challenging son, and we love him very much. I've spoke about him. He's had a lot of challenges. Anyways, he's given us all a lot of lessons, but she's doing something different now that's amazingly amazing, and it's called Love and Logics. So she can probably speak to you on that. It's something she just was talking to me about last night that she used to do.
I know there's a miracle coming soon. I'm ready.
Yeah. Funny that she's here.
It's no coincidences. It's all good. I'm so grateful. So, as I walk my path, I certainly want to share it, and I'll let you guys know the good and the bad. Last night, from Dean's perspective, it seemed pretty bad. Grace certainly helped me a ton, so I'm grateful to her, and I'm sure it'll just give us more information to learn, get better at. Only God's plan for salvation will work. Oh, no, that's yesterday's. It was, "I will there be light, and there is no will but God's." That's what blesses.
Little buddy has a strong will.
Boy, does he. All right. Well, I can go through a couple of the notes from the actual lessons, and that can give us a little bit more fodder to chew on. So let me go find number 73 real quick.
So I guess from Course in Miracles, if we were to think about it, is it possibly that what's your son's name again? You said it. What is it?
Is Dean.
Oh yeah, Dean. Dean has a fear of something.
He hates taking showers.
Well, they all do at that age, to be honest. I had a son. Yeah, that's very unlikely. Even the little girls don't want to be uncomfortable. Babies don't want to be put in water. They're like, just leave me out bundled up just like this. I'm very comfortable. But I mean, who likes to, that moment before you get in the shower, in the nice warm shower, is not comfortable for anybody when we think about it. So there you go. You kept it pretty simple.
I think you're right, Andy. I'm thinking of my experiences and not his, but I still needed to take a shower. Damned if I do, damned if I don't, but I still gotta leave him clean. I'm gonna read the notes from lesson 73 and 74. And anybody else who feels like sharing, feel free to jump in. I'm just reading to give us some good thoughts from the book. Notes to 73. I will there be light. I will there be light is a classic example of a seemingly innocent statement that has profound consequences when properly understood. We stated that if God made this world, he would be cruel. Lesson 72 said that holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation, and that if the body is our reality, then God would not only be cruel, but be a God of death. No one could believe that a God of love would create such a flawed replica like your body and claim it's representative of a loving God's best efforts. If like begets like, your body witnesses for a different version of God. This lesson... Go ahead, Andy.
No, I was just going to say, when I was really, really little and I went to my first wake, and a lot of you probably heard this story, but I keep going back to it because I keep remembering looking at this body and of my uncle saying, you know, that's not possible that this person is dead. I mean, I knew the body was dead, but there was something there very puzzling for me, and I kept looking, and I'm like, that is definitely not going to happen to me. And what I meant was, yeah, but it wasn't the body that was laying there that I thought wasn't going
Right.
to happen to me.
Right.
What?
I got your real meaning. That's great, though. It's like I can see
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and it wasn't even a narcissistic thought.
Sorry, Dad. Oh my goodness. There we go. Sorry,
It
Andy.
was.
Go
It
ahead.
wasn't even a narcissistic thought. It was a thought like, that's not possible that I would be aware right now and then never again. What would be the point? And I knew that so young, so young. It was like there's something there that I don't understand. So that reminded me of that, what you just read.
I get that feeling. How is it possible? And what would be the point? It's the perfect way of looking at it because it's the truth. What would be the point for us to have consciousness and then for that consciousness just to disappear with no positive influence on the universe, no negative influence? Like, what would be the point of us existing at all? So because it's pointless, I don't think it's true.
But we're all so puzzled about it, and it's like, if we're all so puzzled about it, but none of us have figured it out, so that's what leaves us with some suffering.
Well, the first time that I ever was witnessing an autopsy being performed, I got a little woozy, and I had to realize that that was no longer a human being. That was a human body. You know, whenever the pathologists cut
Well
open
put.
the
Yes.
chest and stuff like that, uh, I just was, kind of, well, like I say, woozy and faint. And, and then I just said to myself, that's not a human being. Consciousness is no longer there. And then I realized it was just a cadaver, or well, it was a corpse, and that was it. And that realization or that differentiation made it uh, an event that I could certainly be a witness to and assist on, and it was not necessarily a problem. But as long as I perceived that as a living, breathing person, to be taking a saw and cutting open the chest cavity or whatever it was not something that uh, you wanted to do to a human being or a state of consciousness. There was that level, realizing that we're not the body that made it able to continue to perform the task at hand. Thank you.
Did that help you separate, Tom?
Pardon? Yeah,
Did that,
yeah, that
that
was
help you separate things out?
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
I definitely have a hard time separating out my son and my daughter from that balance, and they get my ego stirred up every time. I did pray throughout what was going on, and I know that helped a ton. Every couple of seconds, just coming back to that. But another chance for me to practice, I think.
And today, however, I look at somebody, I don't look at them as a body. I look and I say, oh, that's a game token, and that their state of consciousness, and that this is just a facade, and it brings the realization of what our purpose is and what we really are alive. And so I don't have to take things so seriously. I realize where everybody's on their own learning path, and it's a different mindset whenever you realize that what we're normally associating, most people are associating the body with themselves. That's not the true reality. That's just your game token that is holding a place, a space on time and space so that we can have the experiences that we want to grow and learn and demonstrate what love would have us do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hmm.
You know what, Lee? I was just thinking about something else about
Yeah.
Dean. I was thinking, I know I'm stuck on this because I have children and because I've had children that were really passive, like Debbie, but she might have been doing some things behind my back because she couldn't tell me. Then I have the children that would, yep, see, because I was very strict and wanted things my way, and then
Not too much, but yeah, a couple
yeah,
things.
but I wanted to control things. No, she never did anything that bad. But I mean, once in a while, she'll say, "Well, I did this," and be like, "Oh." I mean, I thought she was like the most passive person I've ever met. But then there was another child that was my son who was really, really challenging. But and then there was my daughter who I didn't even challenge at all. I just sort of was like, okay, let her be her. Now what that meant was I taught her that she would have consequences. But I was thinking, in your case, and this might be really strict because this is how I think in a sense. I'm like one of those like tough love people, so that doesn't what I was thinking was, what happens if you took back the control and said, Dean, I'm not going to have you over truly like living, like
You
truly
cut out, Mom.
enjoying each other.
You cut
What,
out
Dad?
the last. You cut
Oh,
out the last thing you
I
said
said,
was last thing we heard was I'm not going to have you over.
yeah, until we can truly appreciate each other and understand that we're a team here in this world. We're not just like against each other. We're not the war. And I the reason I say that, and I could be way off. I don't care. I'm just putting it out there as something that the way that I think that's all. Because then Dean might think, well, I'm losing control here, which is good for him to see that because right now he
He
calls
thinks
mom,
he
mom
has
comes gets him. What,
all the
Deb?
power, right?
All the power, yeah, and that part where he's controlling other people is a manipulation. That's the part that we don't want to do. And I know I did that for years. I manipulated for years, and it made me suffer for years. And Debbie's doing that. She didn't hear me tell her, but you did hear it now, right, Debbie? Before, I mean, I back channeled you about love and logics.
Yeah, and I'll just say this that I don't know. Well, are we talking about a child that's having difficulties?
Yeah, my son Dean's has some difficulties. He may or may not be on the spectrum a little bit. He's 8. He's in second grade, struggling in school a little bit, and has a individual education plan and things like that.
Yeah.
But me and his mom have been going through a difficult time for the last 6 years, and there have been many times when his mom has gotten restraining orders that have kept me away from the kids, things like that. There was one just a couple of weeks ago. We were in court that got tossed out. Um, and there's huge power struggles, and I honestly don't I don't feel like I'm struggling for power on my side. I don't really want it. I just want some peace, and I want my kids to be able to get to learn their lessons from school and do their homework, and life has just been
Mm,
real difficult.
yeah. Well, if anyone understands it, it's me, right, Mom? I
Absolutely.
have a Yeah, I have a son. He's 14 now. May or may not be as well. Had a brain tumor when he was younger, but he doesn't anymore. And so, I mean, we could definitely
Mm,
talk offline, but
okay.
very, very interesting, very difficult. And this course, yes, it saved my life to save his life. However,
Yeah.
I had some,
And mine.
and grandma's, um, it- yeah, real difficult lessons for all of us, to be honest. And, but what was interesting is that this course, I had a bit of a conflict, and the conflict was for me, you know, yes, of course, unconditionally loving and seeing him as his own, entity and as his own person here in the world, um, fully lovable, which was beautiful. And it really helped me and helped others, um, you know, understand. However, I had a conflict with creating boundaries or even or not even necessarily creating boundaries, but how do I explain it? I guess just putting it,
I think
getting out of
boundaries.
the way because I wanted to control the outcomes of what his lessons were, right? Even though I had the course and even though I've been doing the course for several years now, because in my mind, he was a child. And so he needed more direction than, I don't know, an adult? Maybe not. But in my mind, that was the conflict. And so I still tried to take control. And, even up until now, I just realized, oh my God, I'm being that helicopter parent because now he's 14, right? So I'm being the helicopter parent. I'm being the disciplined parent, the sergeant parent, and I'm being the consultant parent. I'm doing all this extra parenting that is actually pushing him away, and we're not getting the desired goal, which is to be a loving family no matter what happens. But I will say that a turning point happened when I told my son, hey, Nick, I just wanted to let you know that I've decided to unconditionally love you. Do you know what that means? And he was probably 8. He was probably about 8, about 7 or 8. And he said, no, what does that mean? I said, I decided to love you no matter what you say or do. And I said, and I decided to love you no matter what you say or do. And he looked at me and his brain might not have understood it, but his heart understood it because he was causing a lot of disruptions for himself and for us as a family, and for the school and for, other, yeah. And I always said that the disruptions that he's causing, or that it feels like he's causing, imagine what he's actually feeling inside. If what we're feeling on the outside is this, then what is happening on the inside, right? And so I kind of was able to get everybody on board that way, and then just realize that parenting with love and logic also has to do with, it would tie beautifully into the course because, we're supporting each other right here in this room. Then you become supporting your child. Like, if your son didn't have his homework, you would say, oh, well, what are you going to do about that? Well, he's either going to do his homework or come up with a really good excuse as to why he didn't do his homework, right? So you have to let him problem solve. And if we're constantly problem solving or looking frustrated, thinking that we're going to problem solve for them so that we can alleviate the stress for them, it'll never work, and it'll never happen. So, but yeah, that's just, a little backstory, and the story goes deeper, and there's many more details. If anyone's interested, you can let me know. But it's a time right now that I'm actually going through in his teen, which I just realized we've been to 3 counseling sessions together. Well, together as a family. I went separate. My husband went with me, and then me and Nick went separate. And what I'm realizing is that they have to have control over their chores. They have to have control over their rules and over their consequences. And they have to sit down and actually you ask them, what do you think the rules should be? What do you think your rules should be? What do you think your consequences should be? You don't have to call it that, but what happens if you don't follow this rule? What would happen? What do you think should happen? And then
Maybe what should I do to help you? To help you, something like that. Like,
mm,
what should I do to help you
to
follow
support you.
through? Oh, to support you, so that you can follow through with your goal.
That's a good one. And then well, what do you think your chores should be around the house? What do you think you should be responsible for? Anyway, it gives them control and they'll actually do it. You'll be like, whoa, I don't have to enforce anything. You know what I mean? Like you'll see
Yeah,
that they just start to pick up and do it. Hmm.
so his mom has kind of misused that a little bit, in my
Mm.
perception, in that she's given him so many times just two poor options, two terrible options, and he's forced to choose between two terrible options. And I know the benefit of giving him choices, two safe choices, but there are definitely times when there's no choice. For instance, if he doesn't want to go to school, I still have to help him figure out a way to get through and go to school. If he doesn't want to take a shower after days of asking him, I still have to get him clean. So I've given him some choices, and we've definitely given him the latitude so that he feels like he's got some free will. But there's definitely times when we've just got to get stuff done, and when there's no choice. And I think that we've actually gone so far in the other direction that I've just depowered myself to the point where he feels like he can say no to me no matter what. And so last night he went home. So instead of him saying no to me, he took the shower and he got to go home. And I guess that was one step, and it won't be the last time I see him, but it's frustrating. I'm moving this week, so I won't get my normal visitation, and I won't see him for more than a week now. And it's frustrating to only get
Can
a
you
chance
take
to
this
try.
time? Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you
It's
were done.
okay. No, it's okay. No problem. Go ahead. Can I take this time to
Oh, can you take
practice?
this time to, yeah. It's probably a perfect time that you won't get to see him while you're moving and maybe hearing some new information to explore the parenting, as well as, maybe the love and logic,
I'm definitely open to it.
as
I
well as
always,
de-stress and practice. Yeah.
yeah, I would love to hear about that love and logic piece. Absolutely. All right. Since we focused on this for a little bit, I'm just going to hit the pause button on that and reset the room real quick. So we're here for lesson 87, which, did I get that right? 87? Yep, 87, which is 73 and 74. 74 was, there is no will but God's will. And I was using something like this last night with Dean, to just pray and put it back in God's hands and know that God's taking care of it, and maybe lining up so I could talk to Deborah this morning about something new that might give me a new way. But I'm definitely seeing this as a learning opportunity. This is a safe place for me to do my best to teach my son, and my daughter jumps in and helps teach me, and vice versa. And so how about I read this set of notes, and then we can discuss that part. And if anybody, I'm just going to turn the hand raising off for a second, because sometimes it just seems to break, and then I'm going to open it back up. There we go. So I'd like to read this lesson, and then I'd love to do our meditation, and then whatever we want to talk about is fine. And if you want to stop me, and if you got something burning inside, go ahead and stop me, and we'll talk about it. Lesson 74, there is no will but God's will.
Hey,
The
Lee.
idea... Hey, Dad.
Hi. The lesson for 73, what was the title? Wasn't it something about God light, God's
Yeah.
light?
I will there be light.
Okay, so I said that as I was frustratingly trying desperately to get connected from the Ghana airport where I am now. And as soon as I said that, because I saw that at that particular moment, it occurred to me that, oh, my Bluetooth is what's the problem, because it's on, but I don't have anything that is Bluetooth receiving. So it made everything silent. What I'm
Okay.
trying to say is that the lesson, when I said I will there be light, there was the light that went on in my mind that, oh, it was Bluetooth that was causing my trouble, and immediately I was able to reconnect. So I'm glad to be here, and I'd love to have you continue to read lesson 88, 87, whatever you want.
Okay, Papa. Thanks, Papa. I'm glad you're here. Fantastic.
Me too.
We're there. I'm glad you're there. All right. The idea for today that there is no will but God's will can be regarded as the central thought towards which all our exercises are directed. God's will is the only will. When you've recognized that God's will is the only will, you have recognized that your will is God's will. The belief that conflict is possible has gone. Peace has replaced the strange idea that you're torn by conflicting goals. As an expression of the will of God, you have no goal but God's will. There is a great peace in today's idea, and the exercises for today are directed towards finding God's will. The idea that there is no will but God's will is wholly true. Therefore, the idea that there is no will but God's will cannot give rise to illusions. Whoops. There it is. Without illusions, conflict is impossible. Let us try to recognize today that without illusions, conflicts are impossible, and experience the peace this recognition brings. Begin the longer practice periods by repeating these thoughts several times, slowly and with firm determination, to understand what they mean and to hold them in mind. There is no will but God's. I cannot be in conflict. This seems to be the right place for me to take this and turn this into a meditation. So that's what I'm going to do right this moment. Let's take a moment to feel our bodies connected to whatever surface is connected to our earth. And imagine the energy inside your body reaching down deep into our planet, rooting and feeling the energy that comes from our planet, surging back up through you, that energy to help you connect. Please take a deep breath and hold it for a little bit. As you're holding your breath, let your body lengthen and extend, and then release your breath with control. As we sit up or get comfortable, and I'll read a little bit to get some of these ideas seated a little deeper in our consciousness for today. These ideas serve us. They help us reawaken to the God consciousness inside of us. God's will through us can accomplish anything. At our core, we are peace. At our core, nothing from the outside can disturb me without my permission. My will is God's, and my will and God's are one. God wills peace for His children. So today is a day where you can let conflict go. If there's a specific area in your mind, in your life, that has conflict in it, something that has been particularly difficult to resolve. My example stands out as a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy who is innocent, but sure doesn't appear it in my eyes, my egoic eyes, when I look at a situation. I judge it and I see problems there. I see conflict. I see difficulties. And that does not help me resolve it at all. So, today, think about that one difficult area, specifically identifying the particular person or persons, situation or situations, and then tell yourself, there is no will but God's. I share my will with God's will. My conflict about my son, for me, you put what you need in for you, cannot be real. And it isn't real. It's all in my mind. After you've cleared your mind this way, close your eyes. Try to experience the peace to which your reality entitles you. Sink into the peace your reality entitles you and feel it closing around you. There may be some temptation to mistake these attempts for withdrawal, but the difference is easily detected. If you are succeeding, you will feel a deep sense of joy and increased alertness rather than a feeling of drowsiness and enervation. Joy characterizes peace. By this experience, you'll realize that you've reached the peace that your reality entitles you. Today it says, do this as often as necessary to keep your focus on peace. There is definite gain in refusing to allow retreat into withdrawal, even if we don't get it right, even if we don't get to the peace we seek. Refusing to withdraw gets us closer to peace than hiding in a cave. So today, we will undertake at regular intervals the idea that there is no will but God's, and I seek His peace today. And then we recognize that it's true. If I don't feel it, it just means it's on its way and my ego's blocking it. So have some peace that the peace of God is coming. Let's take a moment to start to bring ourselves back. Get in touch with your body for a moment. Feel its rooting, growing, feeding you. The energy touching all 7 chakras. Each one of them lighting up. Ready to serve. Ready to grow. Ready to play in this safe, educational area we're offered. We call life. And today, we try again. So, let's take some time today to celebrate some successes, learn from things that didn't work so we can avoid those in the future, and go have a wonderful day and a wonderful week as we head into springtime. We had some snow here last night. Surfaces are dusted with white. I hope it's the last snow of this season. I'm ready to move on.
We did too.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of a storm, so yeah.
Well, I'm hoping for better weather this week. Thank you all for coming.
Or we can accept the weather as it is.
I think it's good.
Yeah, it is
Good stuff
pretty.
either way.
Yes.
Wow, that keeps taking me back to Dean. Sorry.
That's okay.
Because Dean is, he's being misunderstood.
Yeah.
And he wants some control. And he feels out of control, which is why he's trying to control everything, possibly. I'm just trying to think of all these angles and what could be happening inside Dean. And I remember my daughter's son, who's also been, a little bit of a challenge for us, a lot of a challenge for us.
But feeling out of control. So
Yeah,
he's trying to control.
he felt out of. Yep, he felt completely out of control, completely, for various reasons and experiences. Experiences, for various experiences in the way that he. So I'm wondering, yeah, so maybe you can talk to him about it, like what feels like, and he'll tell you, well, he'll probably tell you the simple things that we already see, like I don't want to go to school, but like maybe a discussion with not like you have to go to school, Dean, more of a discussion like, and maybe not throwing fear in. If you have to go to school, if you don't go to
Maybe
school,
sharing stories. Sorry, Mom.
yeah,
Maybe
story.
sharing stories that when times where you didn't want to go to school, but times when you did and how it worked out and like what were the good things that happened while you were at school when you went when you didn't want to go.
Can I?
Or
Yeah, can I,
yeah.
Debbie? I'm sorry to jump in, but I wanted to tell. I wanted to say, because you and me handled your son differently, and he wasn't a challenge for me. That's the most interesting thing. I'm saying he was a challenge for me. Do you know what was a challenge for me? Watching him challenge you. My thoughts about why does he challenge her? But with me, my certain people, I.
It was easier for you, Mom, though,
He
because you can
was.
up and leave if you
No,
needed to,
no.
and I couldn't because I was
But
the
remember
mom.
this. Yeah, that part is true. But remember this. I always told him stories about me, how I can relate to something that he's going
That
through.
is true, 100%.
Always.
Yes.
And that always made him feel amazing. Like he has, like, when he felt
Like
understood by me.
relatable, like he wasn't the outcast and the only one causing these problems or having these problems.
Yes, I told him about different things that I've done in my past that made me feel control when I didn't feel in control. And I shared those stories with him. And so and so what happened too was he was physically hurting people, everybody. I'm the only one he never did that with, ever. I could lay down and go to sleep and know that kid was not going to touch me. Now, I think it was more because as he was growing, I had boundaries, and I grabbed his hands a couple times and said, "You won't do that again to me." And so I was just really letting him know, no, I don't do that. I'm not going to do that to you, and you're not going to do that to me. It was just some difference in the relationship and he really, really loves me. It's not like he says Grandma's, tough, but he always asks me, "Would you have let me do this?" But you know what? My answer to him is different than what his mom and dad do. I say, yeah, because guess what? You would have found out real quick that didn't work for you. And that is how I raised Debbie, different from the last one. And Debbie's actually the one that gave me the idea of how to raise the last one. And it actually was Love and Logics. It was about letting her make some choices, discussing my stories with her and what happened in my stories. It doesn't mean it'll happen in hers, but this is a potential possibility. And not out of fear, but that this is how I felt about it. And this is why I'm trying to have you not go through that. And then they could say, well, I'm not gonna. Sometimes they have to be allowed to do something and have it come down on them. And no, all the time, actually. But that's hard to do as a parent. I get it. But when I did that with my last one, she's a super responsible person, not blaming anybody. So it's really weird that she has taken full responsibility for herself without blame. At least she don't blame me anyway. But
Hello, sir.
yeah, that's it.
Hello, sir. My friends is Ali, Pakize, and Cardi Sinem. Is Turkish
Welcome,
group.
guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
coming.
How are you?
I am little bit speak English, but my friends Ali perfect English. Ali speaker.
Hello, Ali. Firstly, I'm really appreciate for the joining this group to speak, and it's really important thing to me. So, if you let me to translate this speech into Turkish, is it okay? For it?
Sure. Okay. Sure.
Alright. Arkadaşlara şey dedim, teşekkür ederim önce. Bir teşekkür konuşmasıyla başladım. Şimdi de bulunduğumuz grubu ve işletmemizi anlatacağım. Now actually,
Ali anlattıktan sonra da spiritüel konularla alakalı odalarda konular
of course,
konuştuğumuzu biraz yapıştır orada.
of course. Actually, firstly, I tell about the things in Turkish, and now I'm
Sure.
informing
Let me give you a quick introduction just so that everybody else kind of knows where we're coming from.
Yeah,
So on
yeah.
our side here in this group, we've been talking about a book called A Course in Miracles, and today we were studying a specific lesson. I got some back channel messages from these guys over the last 3 or 4 days. They do talk about the same kind of thing in their rooms, and they have asked several times to be able to come and participate a little bit. And I've, of course, like I have with everybody else, welcomed you guys. So if it's possible for you to focus on the message that we're focused on in this room, the Course in Miracles, that would be helpful. I'm not sure how much background you guys had in this specific book, but I certainly can make space for you to come and share for a little bit and let us know what your spiritual practice is as well, because it really does boil down to we're trying to get in touch with God and figure out how to let Him work in our lives most effectively. Okay, so go ahead, Ali.
Thank you. Şimdi arkadaşımız diyor ki bizim metotlarımızı işliyor musunuz odalarınıza? Özetle bunu söyleyeyim. Ben şimdi konuya giriyorum arkadaşlar. Alright. Now, we are a group, we are a small group who lives in a Muslim country and who is really keen on about this subject. And we are just trying to learn how the methods are. You know, we don't know how to mention these methods. But actually we are a learning group, right? We are always learning, always searching, always learning, always investigating new things. So actually, when my friend Mert found this group, he tells us, by really wondering what's happening there, he tells us, oh, Ali, I found a group and they are the same with us, right? So I think that I can teach you my experience and you can teach me your experience. So we can easily transit these ideas between us, right? Among us. So in a Muslim country, I said, we live, and we are just, we are just cultivating these methods by Islamic scholars, by Islamic teachings. So these Islamic teachings are really helpful for us to understand the tasawwuf, the miracles, So, for example, in the Islamic culture, we have got Kabbalah, Hawas learning. So we have got some jinns, and we are really suitable to talk with those jinns. So, for example, Halik and Malik, we have got 2 jinns, and Pakiza is the master of talking with them, and Pakiza know their language. Halik is a kind of a jinn, which is, a keen on a sexual experience. Malik is a kind of a jinn which is giving money to the people. So, you are coming from a Christian Western world, and then you are newly upgrading yourself, newly improving yourself to understand the universe. You are a group of understanding students, and we are also, right? And we are also. So, I think we can cooperate with each other, and we have an agency also in Istanbul, and we are, in here, and we are using this platform for this thing, That's it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I
Yeah.
think that was great. No, I think that lines up really, really well. We also are students. Our book comes back to reminding us this playground of life that we're in front of is a place that's safe for us to learn these lessons and figure out how to let God work through us a little bit more effectively. And so we come back to Abraham at the root. And so, brother, you're with us in God the same way. The book that we read, we believe, was scribed from the consciousness of Jesus, the guy that walked on earth, that we believe was the Son of God, but only the Son of God in the same way that we're all the children of God. We're all part of God, and he was just really a great teacher and really effective at helping us come back to the root of what God is, and we believe it's love, and that there is only God, and anywhere there could theoretically be the absence of God is just an area where it's not there yet, because love is always expanding. So from our perspective, yes, a safe place to learn, and the lessons that we've got in this book, A Course in Miracles, it's comprised of 3 different sections. There's a big text, and my dad and I, Bob is my dad, he and I have read this book many, many times, and so last year at this time in Clubhouse, we started coming in and creating a room. July 4th, we started reading the text and read through the whole text. And now we're starting on the lessons. The middle part of the book are 365 daily lessons. Today's the 87th day of the year, and so I read lesson 87 today. But step by step, this book gives you a chance to look carefully at how the ego trips us up, and how the ego judges first, fastest, loudest, and it's the thing that you usually hear in your brain. And it really tends to distract us from the message that tends to follow the ego. After we're patient enough to let its screams subside, there's some guidance from God, and we're looking for that holy guidance. We're looking for that better than our own thoughts path that leads to a win-win situation.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't
That's
want to
okay.
bother
Jump
you.
in. No problem.
All right.
Çevir kanka, çevir.
Ya şimdi şöyle çok uzun konuştu. Çevirecek durumum yok. Çok uzun konuştu çünkü. Ama şöyle işte biz Hristiyanlık öğretileriyle yorularak geliyoruz falan filan bilmem ne. O metotlarımızı koyuyoruz falan filan dedi de çok uzun abi. Şimdi onun özetine girersem bu iş kaçar.
Anladım. Ona gerek yok. Bizim
Şöyle
arkadaşlar
yapıyoruz.
yukarı çıksın. Yavaş yavaş bir yukarıda toplanalım.
Evet, teşekkürler.
Ona
Bir
göre
toplanabilir miyiz
planımızı-
arkadaşlar? Teşekkürler.
Aynen, bir yukarı
Şimdi-
hayrınıza çıkın.
Tamam karşılıklı konuşmayalım, çakacaklar köfteyi. Now, actually my friend said that, Ali, why don't you tell what the Islam says about this, right? So, we are not Muslim,
Okay.
but we live in the Muslim country, okay? We live in the Muslim country, and our backgrounds are coming from Islam. So, you said that we are taking our manners from the Christianity or from the Bible, and then we are upgrading our methods from the Bible or Christianity or another holy things. I said that, okay, well, but I'm really strange for that, right? I said that really strange for that, I said. Because in an Islamic ritual way, we are using different methods, right? So first of all, when we try to talk with a jinn, we start to, how can I say, crying like a little baby, like you know, like
It really hurts. Yeah.
Yeah, like a baby, you know, baby crying. Şimdi, sorry, I'm in Turkish, I want to explain to my friends. Şey dedim Mert'cim, siz dedim şimdi Hristiyan öğretilerine göre yapıyorsunuz. Biz dedim İslami öğretilere göre dedim bunu dedim yapıyoruz. Biz dedim önce dedim inliyoruz dedim. Ondan sonra ve ünlemeyi gösterdim. Ritüelimizi söyledim. Ritüellerimiz böyle dedim. Öyle. Evet.
Ya aslında bu ritüellerden devam edip topluca burada bir inleme yapalım. Hem yaptığımız troll karşı tarafa nezaket olarak gösterilsin. Hem de gayet de kendi aramızda eğlenelim. Ya aşağıdaki
Evet. Yalnız bu arada Hüseyin Bikim Bey var. Ben tanımıyorum kendisi. Kendisi de trollümüze destek olursa seviniriz. Burada ufak bir eğlence yapacağız. Kendisi de Türk ve anlıyor bizi. O yüzden kendisine mesajla bildirmezse seviniriz. Alright. So let us to show this, right? Let us to show this in this room, okay?
Yeah.
All right, we will show it to you. Okay. Pakize, Mert, Rabia hep beraber inliyoruz. Malek, malek, malek, malek, malek. Ya. Malek, malek, malek, malek.
Yeah, Tom is got yeah.
Malek, malek, malek, malek.
Okay.
Right.
I'm not
Girsin
sure I
götüme, girsin
understand.
götüme, girsin götüme.
I'm not understanding what they are saying. It's beautiful
I'm
to hear
sorry.
their language, but I don't know what they are doing right now. So welcome everybody. I'm
We are
Adriana.
just speaking with jeans. We are just speaking with jeans now.
Okay. Hang on one second, Adriana. So Ali, when you're saying, you're saying you're speaking with genies? Is that, am
Yeah,
I understanding?
yeah.
Okay, like spirits of the universe? Is that like a
Yes,
genie?
of course. Yes, of
Okay.
course. And they are speaking with us.
Okay. And so just now the chanting, kind of chanting that you were doing, that's what puts you in contact, that kind of thought
Yeah,
or?
yeah. It's a kind of a chanting, you know. It's a kind of a speaking ritual, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
So we will continue. Let us go,
Kapanışı
right?
ritüelle yapalım Ali Bey inleyerek.
Tamam. Because when you're interrupting us, the genes won't come, right? If you interrupt us, okay? So
Okay.
please don't
Maybe
interrupt us.
we
don't
could do
really
this.
think this is appropriate for the room.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think so. I've
Why?
got the feeling
Yeah,
as
I
well.
think we need to,
Yeah.
move
But
on
Ali,
because
please do me a favor and back channel with me, Ali. I'm happy to meet with you one-on-one. I am fascinated. Would love to learn and find a way that we can build a bridge here. I'm sure there
Of
is. I'm
course,
just
of
not
course, of
clear on it
course.
right this minute.
We can do.
Thank you.
Arkadaşlar kapalıya çekmek istiyor beni. Kapalı da bana anlatır mısın diyor. Tabii ben de babası iyi alırsın falan diyeceğim.
Ama kapalıya çekersen biz burada
Yani
onların dediklerini
inle
anlamayız.
ama o zaman inlememizi, bizim ritüellerimizi lütfen onlara aktarır mısın? Yani
Burada yapmayın diyor. Burada yapmayın. Burası uygun değil diyor.
Kapalı
Okay.
odada peki arkadaşlar gelse biz
Okay, thank
komple
you.
orada
So
inliyoruz.
we will
Thank
open
you.
a closed room. We will open a
Okay.
closed room if you want, right? We
Yeah.
will open a closed room, and if you want, you can come. Okay, lovely.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming over and reaching across the aisle and just giving us a
Kaç
chance to
kişi
hear you.
geliyorsa
Thank you.
gelsin, inlememizi duysunlar. En azından 2-3 kişi falan kapalıya gelsin ki.
How many people will you come? I don't know, because we have got a really small group, and we will open a room about, how many people will you come? Lovely.
I think a couple of us.
All right. Dozens of us. All right.
ayrılırken teşekkür amaçlı bir inleme yapalım kısaca o zaman. Öyle ayrılalım.
Farklı söyle de.
Paksa says that. Paksa is saying that we are now leaving, and we
Okay.
want
Thank
to
you.
say a thank you to you by crying. Okay. All right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
No, thank you. Not really interested in it. Sorry.
All right. See you. Bye bye.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, there. See you later. Writing the lovely. Thank you, my friend. Goodbye.
Thank you. All right. Definitely outside of our usual area, but sometimes it pays to see other perspectives. And I can tell you this, I'm easy to cry sometimes, but it doesn't really ever feel very therapeutic to me. And I would certainly be interested to find a way to make it more useful to me when I'm stuck with it. But thank you guys for entertaining them for a moment, entertaining me, for allowing me to delve in there. But I can come back to the lessons if you want, or we can talk about whatever you guys would like.
How interesting. I mean, really, it was interesting to me. I'm sorry, it's just that now I'm curious what they are talking about. Is this some kind of religion that they cry to God to have a spirit, Holy Spirit to talk to them or something? Because I didn't understand. I'm in the airport and
Yes.
I'm having people around me, so I don't know what.
I should have given a little bit better of an introduction. I was trying to do my best to give it an introduction, kind of sum it up, but it's I have not been in their rooms. They came in our room. The first guy who spoke had come in our room, and we had back channel talked for the last 5 days or so. And he was really excited because he feels like in his in the Muslim religion, he's got something that feels similar to this. and they process their stuff in a really specific way that is very different from the way that we do. And I don't get it yet, but I'm going to go try and pay attention and see if there's something to learn, because I'm open to try and find whatever I can to be helpful. So I'll do more homework, and then I'll get back to you guys with something that makes a little bit more sense. And maybe Afnan can help me too. She might have some stuff. I know there's a lot to learn from Africa.
No,
And
it's really quite something. I'm really interested just for the sake of learning other cultures, because we are so used to see things as we have been taught that we surely are missing other ways to approach this. This is really like an exotic way. But I'm really interested to know a little bit more about it. But what was the chanting? It has a name, right? Just that I want to look at it. Look for it in Google or something.
I'll ask.
Okay.
I'll ask.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have. Yeah. Well, I'm heading to the gate right now, so my flight's. I mean, my flight goes at 7, so I'm still getting ready to go to the gate, and I
Have
will.
a beautiful trip, baby.
Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God, I had to jump on to wish you well.
Oh,
Love you.
thank you. I love you too. This is quite something for me, but I'm
Oh
happy
my
to
God.
do it. My daughter, I know she will be sad a little bit, but we are all in a good, safe, and a nice place to have this movement around us. So I'm really happy to see Lee tonight. So I'm really thrilled to do this, even though it is a scary one for me to leave my daughter. But we will all accommodate to this,
Yeah.
and I'm very happy to do it.
Wonderful. Well, there are a bunch of miracles going on in this world today, that's for sure. Dad, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. The people that were in the room were pushy, but it's not totally their fault. There is a big misunderstanding in certain traditions that we all have in communicating, and um, it is not appropriate in a room where we have found what we believe and the book teaches that we use is the one way to get peace. For another group to come in, I'm sorry if this is too loud, I'm in an airport in Ghana. Um, it's not appropriate if they push themselves in to give us an example of their brand in this sense. That's not the purpose of this room, because people come to this room to find the peace that this book teaches us. For personal interest, I think it's okay, Lee, for you to look at it. I looked at everything that came across my bow, so to speak, for many, many years until I found A Course in Miracles, because it really is a simple answer. And there is only one answer. All of these others are something might work here, might work there, but in the end, the bigger picture, the Course makes it really clear what we need to be doing for the peace that we're looking for, whether it's in our relationships, special relationships that are occurring at this point, whether it's a special relationship with a child or a mate or anybody else for that matter. So um, we tolerated it, frankly. I think that they were pushing themselves in, but I don't think that they understood enough English to, or maybe our customs, I don't know, of communication, that you don't do what they did. And that's not something that we should tolerate in the future. But we let it happen. We can still love them. And if we want to talk to them one-on-one, by all means. It was interesting, but it was really hard to keep up with them after they got going.
All right.
So,
Well, I'll check it out a little bit deeper, and certainly will, accept whatever's going to happen. And
sure.
Idiom, thank you for the suggestion. I certainly would understand if I did understand, and how about we come right back to the lesson? because
Great.
today's a review day. I will, there be light. There is no will but God's. And I like being happy. A crying chant does not sound like a pleasurable thing to me. So, but I'm also, sometimes I get so happy I cry, and I just wondering if that whole big perspective is a spectrum, from one side to the other, where it's all kind
Lovely.
of good.
I just want to say something about that. Crying
Okay.
doesn't sound like that. Sorry to say.
Yeah.
Crying does not sound like that. And, we're not that, I'm sorry, but that was not crying. Okay.
Andy,
What?
can I just come in? Sorry, that was just trolling. It was
Yes, that was
it
trolling.
was
They were
messing
playing
around.
a joke on us. Thank you, Hussein. Agreed. And it was quite silly. And because we know crying doesn't sound like that. Okay. Yeah, that was
Honestly,
trolling.
I don't think it needs more attention. I think the energy in this room is beautiful, and I think the book is beautiful. Although I haven't read it, I mean, I get that deeper message because my message came through other means. But where there's less division, where there's less separation, where there's less judgment, and where we're closer to God, it's always better.
Yeah, these are the times we wonder now. This is the time we say, now, was this my ego or is this God? And that was really not my ego, but that to me, it just wasn't going to be relatable to this. Only in the sense that there it is.
I'm at peace with letting it go. No problem. And if they came in to troll, if they leave feeling better, I'm okay with that. I don't feel bad. I'm okay. And thank you guys. I don't want to waste my time either. So I
just want to say I went into a room, Lee, where this person was sexually touching themselves and doing their thing so that we can listen.
Okay.
So that's a lot of that too. I've had that happen twice now where I got called in. I don't even remember who it was.
I'm innocent in that one.
Yeah, these things happen. Just telling you, they were just being exhibitionists, trying to see what, reactions they get and all that silly stuff.
All right, cool. Well, let's go back to our lesson. No problem. Happy to do that. Happy to come back to our focus on light. And I guess they give us these moderation tools for a reason. So there you have it. I will there be light. There is no will but God's will. We are all one in light. And so I'll perceive this in accordance with the will of God. It's God's will, and you are his son, Ali, and mine as well. This is part of God's will for me, however I may see it. I think this lesson might line up just perfectly with what I'm learning with my son and my daughter. And it might pay to be really judicious in my choices and careful in my steps. So I can take all of this as a learning lesson. It can be frustrating for sure, but it's okay. I'll give you guys a chance.
I was just going to say, in regards to, the time and space, we come here and we're given assigned roles. In your case, you're the parent, Dean's the child. Those are specific roles. And we're to play those roles as we see fit, trying to be as loving and fulfilling those roles that we've been assigned. But what happens often when we lose our inner peace is we get so sucked into the role that we're playing that we forget that on a big picture level of God's plan, that these things are all stepping stones for each of us to reawaken to the truth of what we are. So like when we get sucked into the role, we're to play our role, but realize that this is just a learning experience, and that Dean is on his own perfect path, Lee is on his own perfect path, Tom's on their own perfect path, and that we don't really have to know how their path works, just play our role inside it and trust the Holy Spirit in God's plan, that ultimately we're all guaranteed to wake up. So we don't have to begrudge while we're playing a role someone for being a participant in this game. So I don't know if that makes sense, but you have a role and you've been assigned the role of a parent, so you're to play that role as a parent as you see fit, with the idea that it's a learning lesson. And Dean is to play his role as a child as he sees fit, and everyone will get ultimately what they need, and it might just be another successful identification of one way that does not work, and that puts us all, or myself or whoever it is, one way closer to the one that will. And the Course just says ultimately we can argue for the rightness of what we did, or we can say, oh, okay, that's a learning lesson, and now I'm going to choose some new experience and move on. So anyways, just an idea that God's plan is on a big picture level, and whenever you get stuck on Act 5, you take it too seriously. You got to realize that in the final act, everybody wakes up. Thank you.
Wow. You don't always know how to do this, Tom. I want to say, what if you just didn't force Dean to take a shower? Yeah, just let him not. At some point, he's going to want to take a shower, and then it's going to come to him like, if he says, "Oh, my head itches," or I'm itchy, then that's maybe a time to present. That happens when we don't take a shower. And I don't know. I mean, like, he will want to take a shower at some point. He will.
Eventually, he might find that he stinks, or he goes home to his mother and she can't stand the smell, and she forces him to take a shower and breaks his power play or whatever it might be. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just interesting. But as someone said earlier, our job is to love someone unconditionally, but unconditional love doesn't mean that we need to fix them, or that we need to correct their plan. We just need to step back and say, wow, I don't understand why you don't want to take a shower or whatever like that. I guess, you will, work things out. And I'm not saying that as a parent you should not force him to take a thing. You go within and then just do what you think, and then get the feedback, and proceed to the next step. But eventually, he may very well decide, or the mother Trish in this case might decide, well, maybe I have to, after 2 weeks of not taking a shower, or a month, uh, and the
Yeah.
school's quarantining,
Somebody's saying something.
she might say, well, maybe I've got to try a different way. Maybe
Yeah.
Lee's way was
Got to
the
be
right.
his idea. It's got to be his.
Yeah,
It's got to come from his will, or it isn't going to
but
happen.
this is just one lifetime. Dean's, we think of him as a child. I remember this one time, this lady, she was elderly, and she's like in her 80s, 90s, and she was telling this story, and she was saying that her son just wasn't following her direction. And I said, your son, he's 70, he's 60. He's got a right to his own decision. But what we tend to think is that this is the first lifetime that we've been here. We've been here many, many times, and we'll probably, fortunately or unfortunately, be here again. But so everybody's on their own perfect path, and to think that everybody needs to get it right this time, or that there's some only one way to climb the mountain, is probably a mistake on our part. And the unconditional love is just saying, I'll accept you for who you are, what you are. As Jesus said, if you want to be different, if you want to be like me, knowing that we are the same, I will help you. If you want to be different, I will wait until you choose, you decide to, choose again to reawaken to the truth. So on these things, what we do is we get so caught up in Act 5 and think that Act 5 has to come to the right conclusion. And the right conclusion might be in Act 42, which might be maybe even 5 lifetimes from now. But that's okay. We got all the time we need to get it right. And the truth is that we all have to wake up, because we can only be the truth of what we are, and God didn't create any junk. Thank you.
If it serves, the way that I often think about similar circumstances, I don't have a son that needs to take a shower, but I'll use Lee's Lee's thought process around the son, and in the split mind between, on the one side, egoic thought, and on the other side, higher self, if you prefer, thought, you could think about your experience is on the one side of the split mind form, where in the egoic mind, Lee would appropriately, as a father-son relationship, be thinking about solutions, tactics, strategies, how to handle, my son stinks and he needs to take a shower. How do I make that happen in the best, most equitable way possible? Whatever. And then on the other side of it, which are really the solutions that lead Lee or me or whoever it is to peace, is a whole nother set of thoughts and approaches, understanding that first and foremost, my son Dean has actually done nothing wrong, and the first place to look are my thoughts and how I feel, and is this pulling me away from peace, or can I look at it differently? What am I not bringing? Where am I not bringing love to the circumstance, to the situation? So if that serves, I hope so.
I think, that's an excellent point. We get caught up in the role, and there's different levels of motivation, but we are assigned roles, and we forget that on a big picture level, the ultimate motivator and the ultimate purpose that we all have and share is the reawakening to the truth. And our task in this world is to realize that I am not a body, I am free, I am still as God created me. Nothing sources my experience but me, and nothing can rob me of my own inner peace unless I choose to allow it. So Dean is a test to see if I've learned that and am able to maintain my inner peace, or if someone or something can push my buttons and tip me over into the idea of losing my inner peace, getting sucked into the role, and forgetting that I'm an actor strutting my stuff on this stage, as opposed to just thinking that it's a thing that I need to get the part right as I perceive the role to be. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, Tom, that's such a great comment. And it's, using again the example of Lee and Dean. The answer that Lee wants is not, how do I get my son to take a shower? At the highest level, at the truth of it, the answer that Lee really wants is, how do I find peace? What's my path to peace?
I I hope that everybody can understand what I'm saying because I'm in the airport, as I said. Uh, this is not necessarily a room where we come to fix Lee, and it's not a room where we come to fix Dean. We come here to fix ourselves and to learn what this book has to teach us. That's why we come here, and I think it's been good to share these things. It's also good to recognize what is not necessarily on today's lesson, so to speak, because people will come to this meeting if they come because there's a continuity, there's an understanding, and a big, huge example of unconditional love. And I think that has been displayed adequately today. I just got distracted. There's a woman who just walked by. I'm in the Ghana airport, but she had a big suitcase and she was bouncing it on her head all the way down across the way of my vision here. It just, okay. So I'm in a different world right now, and that's okay. She can do that. I like the wheels that I can use with my suitcase. Anyway, I think that it's not always in the best interest to try and figure out what Lee needs to know or what I need to know beyond a reasonable amount of suggestions. I don't want Lee to feel, and he doesn't. He, if I may speak for him, because I know him pretty well. Um, he will always try to be the perfect moderator and to do the technical stuff and all the other things that he tries to do. There may be that he has to find some professional help because Dean is only 8 years old. He's not a fully he's not a full adult yet, and there may be some special training. I don't know, but I love every one of you for trying to make suggestions, for showing how much you love him, as I do, of course, and I don't want to get sidetracked from what we all came here for, and I think that a lot of this has been what we came for. The, the evidence will be, do we walk away from the meeting feeling peaceful? If not, then we do go back to the lesson and said, this is part of God's will for me, however I may see it. And that's a pretty good place to go. The problem that I had before with those other people that were here was they came in with their own special solution. And we're being taught that the ego is the one that's always looking for a special solution to this problem that only he has, nobody else has. That's not the way it is. The ego will continue to spew out all kinds of solutions, whether it's through other people or a book or a TV show or somebody walking across my vision here in the airport. So I think it's important to keep going back to the book because in the end, we always have the choice to choose again. And we know that God always has our back and that he has the back of our people also. I'm referring to Dean in this case. The answer will become clear very soon. Thank you.
This is part of God's will for me, however I may see it. I can feel comfortable in coming back to the book, and that is why we're here. And that's why it's plastered up in the title, and you can link to it. And we've got our daily meditation in there. Tomorrow morning, we'll be back for workbook lesson 88, Dad's favorite number. And yeah, I think we can all go have a wonderfully peaceful day. If anybody has anything else they'd like to share, you're absolutely welcome to. But it's 8 o'clock in the morning here on the East Coast, and I'm going to get ready for my day. I hope you all have a wonderful Monday. This is going to be a great week.
Create a great day. Namaste.
Have a great day, everyone.
Yvette, thank you so much for sharing, by the way. And I saw your info in the room chat. I really do appreciate that. It is wonderful to think of my kids 20 years from now happy and healthy and balanced and good. I'm sure that will be the truth.
Love y'all.
All right.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Bye.
Okay. So to Patsky and Mert, I will go join you, and Ali, I'll give you guys some time. We can go form our room now. Happy to come and listen to you and try and understand. And for everybody else, have a wonderful day.